Blume edit.
The Blume edit.
The Blume edit.
The Blume
The
edit.
Blume edit. The Blume edit.
You're listening to The Blume Edit, where we talk all things beauty, business, and being unfiltered. I'm your host, Kia, from Blume Aesthetics. Well, you and Paul had one of the most talked about moments. So him punching the wall after you revealed a history with a rapper.
Yeah.
How did that moment feel for you off camera, but also in that instant?
Oh my gosh, going back to that time, it was almost a year ago now. You know, everything was off camera that happened because it was the weekend, it was a Sunday, and we were having the best day ever with our friends on the show, Ree and Jeff. And, you know, we were experiencing Sydney. It was a sunny day. We were Sunday drinking and everything was going well until that very moment where we got back to the apartments and he just like his personality just changed. It was like someone I didn't know or someone I was like, I've been getting to know you for the past couple of weeks and then a complete different person. So I was definitely shocked and I was like just not thinking. My body was in fight or flight mode. So I was just really shocked and like shooken up and worried and a bit annoyed as well because I was like, how can you be so dramatic? And I was like, is this guy for real kind of thing? And, you know, we had such a good day. How can you instantly just bypass all of that and all the good times for one little silly comment, especially when Ree and Jeff in the environment, we were all drinking. We were in the Uber. It was great energy. It wasn't like a serious conversation. It was all jokes. It was laughing and, you know, we were all getting along. And we even have videos of that day, which is so weird, us in the Uber doing carpool karaoke. And then he just instantly turned into a different person. I was like, what is going on? And how can you get so upset and turn so serious about something that was so not serious? So, yeah, I was a bit devastated because I was in my mind creating and fixating on this perfect relationship that I was going straight through to the end, and post show we were going to move to Sydney. I was creating all these, you know, fantasies in my head about my relationship with Paul and what it would look like on the outside world. And we would talk about it. And I was very serious about the situation and him, especially him meeting my parents and my family. And I could see him fit in so perfectly because I do have a very big family and a strong family dynamic. And it can be quite intimidating and scary for a man, you know, that I'm dating to come into that world. So, and he was fine with everything, you know, got along with my family and I was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a bit disheartening when that all happened.
Your venture into the world of pre-loved luxury fashion, I actually reached out to you. I actually didn't realise you owned Another Love, and I reached out to you a few months ago to sell some things. Had I known it was you, I would have mentioned something. What inspired the idea to start the business 3 years ago?
I had the idea for quite a long time and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I knew I had friends that had beautiful luxury items that they just didn't use. They didn't suit their lifestyle and they were just sitting at home. They didn't really know what to do with it. And I remember Baz and I went for a walk one day and I told him about my idea. And he said, you should just, you know, go for it. But of course, like everybody, I had doubts and fears and how will this work with the kids and what if it doesn't work, you know, the fear of failure. And then we were on holiday in Bali 3 years ago and my girl said to me, you should just do it, Mum, just go for it. And so I actually set it up and started it while we were in Bali and started getting clients already. So it's evolved from there. I absolutely love what I do. I'm really passionate about circular style and I'm really passionate about, you know, investing in a really beautiful piece that's going to last you a lifetime that you can then pass on to your children. But my favourite thing about Another Love is all the great connections that I've made and the people that I've met. And I've had husbands come and buy beautiful pieces for their wives as a special gift. And I've also had people say to me, you know, I've always wanted this beautiful piece. It's like my dream bag and I would never have been able to afford it if it wasn't for buying it pre-loved. And a lot of the pre-loved items that I have are either brand new, they have literally been sitting in a box, or they're as new as possible. So it's something I'm really proud of.
I think being in Perth as well, we don't have access to all those brands as easily as just, photos on social media and things like
That's
that.
right.
I purchased things in Paris when I went to Paris, and those things you can't get here unless you get them online or, So I like that as well, is that you can find pieces here in Perth that you can't normally find or ordinarily find. So you lead by example for young female footballers watching. What's one truth or piece of advice you'd share for the next generation?
I would say never stop believing in yourself. I think that's one of the main points or main thoughts you need to have. You just need to believe in yourself, and sometimes you shouldn't let people kind of knock you down or take it too personal, because I just think if you're that young and you have people around, they sometimes just don't listen and try to just go on, move on, be the best, and just keep going. Because
block out the noise, block out the haters.
Block out everything and just follow your path. And if you want it, get it.
You can achieve it.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything.
You do. It's possible. If you really want it, you can.
Yeah.
Just don't get too much into
politics and drama
whatever. Just focus on you.
Yeah. Amazing.
I think the biggest issue that I had as a young kid is my whole identity was wrapped up in basketball, and it took me some tough lessons to kind of figure out that can't actually be the way that you go about things.
That's tricky. And when you're surrounded by something, you can either go one of two ways. You probably run from it or you run towards it, hey?
Mm-hmm.
And you ran towards it.
Yeah.
So in your journey, there was a time that you took a break due to burnout, anxiety, and you even had some hospitalisation. That's a high stakes moment that very few really talk about. So how did that reset influence your approach to basketball and life afterwards?
Well, speaking about my basketball identity, and that was everything to me. When I was at the Basketball Australia Centre of Excellence, which is a kind of a training facility for young kids between the age of 15 and 18 to go and train and go to school and do that. So I moved up there, and basketball became even more concentrated. And in a time in my life where I feel like I was supposed to be exploring, who I was as a person, it was just basketball and comparing myself to my other teammates, other athletes, what I was supposed to look like, what I was supposed to sound like and be like every day. It was a very high pressure environment for me. And I think that there were a couple things that triggered a lot of anxiety in me, and probably my first experiences with depression at 15, in a basketball environment, was because I was comparing myself so much to other athletes. And I think that that's one of the biggest things, especially in women's sport, is we compare ourselves, and instead of saying I want to take this quality that this athlete has, it's I want to be like this person, and it kind of takes away from your individuality a little bit. So that kind of led me to feeling like I didn't have an identity or a sense of self, and my depression kind of took over. So I did step away from the sport. I moved home from Canberra, back to Melbourne into my family home, and at that moment in time when I took away basketball, I had no idea who I was. So, that the depression, the anxiety, spending time in a psychiatric ward, that all happened in the first couple months of me stepping away from the sport, trying to navigate as a 17-year-old, who am I without this huge part of my identity? And I think that I'm so grateful today that I did go through that when I was younger, because I think that every athlete goes through some sort of identity crisis like that at points throughout their life. But I think that stepping away and seeing myself as a more holistic person, and that what I bring, not just to my, myself, but to basketball, was way more than points on a board or how many times I can put a leather ball into a hoop. That was a really formative experience for me.
Well, let's talk posture and structure from a Blume lens. We're always looking at how much muscle tone can lift, define, or change someone's aesthetic. When you work with clients, how do you approach building a visibly balanced frame, not just size?
I'll assess their physique. I mean, people have their different lifestyle factors and imbalances and injuries. And ideally, you want to create, in bodybuilding, you're looking for structure, for symmetry, for balance, and you want to create an aesthetic physique. So if someone comes to me and I say, oh, you've got a great upper body, but you've got chicken legs, well, obviously I'm going to structure their training in a way that will bring up their legs and give the upper body a break to balance them out.
Do you have something that's your chicken legs on your body? Your version of your chicken legs?
It was my glutes, but they've definitely grown from all the hip thrusts I had to do. And this season, actually, you know, the feedback that I got was, hey, you've really balanced everything out, which was the goal. I mean, last time I was on stage, I can definitely say, like, yeah, I was lacking in some areas, but that's the game. You take that feedback and then you want to improve them and get back up there, and the judges see, oh, wow, he really put the work in, and there's nothing really standing out that we can mark him down for.
So when you say, like, last weekend when you won, do they still give you feedback?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
I got really positive feedback.
Yeah, even like constructive. So
yeah,
that's good.
My feedback was essentially everything was great. You just need to be a little bit leaner in the rear. So actually, my butt needs to be more shredded.
In the rear.
So that's why I'm doing 2 hours of cardio a day now.
Gosh, I couldn't.
And every spare moment, I'm squeezing my butt cheeks together to activate them better.
Amazing. So you are an entrepreneur, and you're obviously so young.
Yes.
For what your success is. Do you feel like you get taken seriously with your age? Do you feel like people sort of don't take you seriously being so young?
That's a very good question. Absolutely no, they don't. I think being a female and being a young female, they don't take you seriously. And that's one of the biggest things I think that I love proving to people. And, you know, when I have meetings with people to get into a new shopping centre and they kind of overlook you and they just don't really have much time and effort for you. And then I love when you prove them wrong, if it does go through and they see, or if they see, you know, you've opened another shop somewhere else, how successful it is, and then they come knocking on your door and I'm like, so now you want me, but you didn't before. Because people do unfortunately judge a book, you know, by its cover. They just see young female, what does she know? No thank you. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't, I guess, deter me from doing anything that I want to do. I think, in fact, it probably adds a bit more fuel to the fire to kind of prove people wrong that, you know, I can sit at that table and be, you know, successful like they don't think.
And you probably add a different element as well. Being young, you've got that sort of social media presence. Yeah. You know, you've got different kind of creativity that an older generation would have. So I think it's good.
Thank you.
Well, you were coupled up with Taylor on the show. So was there anything...
Not only Taylor,
but while you were coupled up with Taylor, was there anything that happened behind the scenes that we didn't see air? Was Hotel Amour any more saucy than we saw?
I mean, I wouldn't say like extra saucy. I can't lie. I was a bit of a prude in there compared to like in general when people go on Love Island. But there were things that like weren't aired. Yeah, for sure.
Like what?
Well, I mean, we had a little kiss off camera. We, you know, not anything like crazy, but like there were things that made me think he actually liked me more. So that's why like when...
Did you have a shower together?
No, we didn't because he did, like, I'm not going to bullshit. He did ask me, but then apparently he said he was joking, but I was like, he was not joking. I just didn't
Why
want
would that be a joke?
It wasn't. To me personally, tone, that wasn't a joke, but whatever. I mean, I love the guy. I got no animosity. Is that the right word? Animosity? Towards him. I got no bad blood. He's a really good guy, but like on the show afterwards, like, yeah.
Just a weird experience, hey?
Yeah.
And how did you feel about him picking Hannah after being coupled up with you? Was that like a surprise for you? Was it? Oh, obviously it was a surprise. It was a surprise for all of us.
I mean, I think it was more probably a surprise because of Hotel Amour, and everybody was thinking like, if you liked Hannah that much, wouldn't you just leave with her? Because he only had me and everyone in the villa to get to know. What if no other bombshell walked in? It's like he had no choice but to get to know us. And if he thought his better option left, wouldn't you leave with that option if like you felt that way? That's how I just interpreted it. So obviously I was like, cool, the superfans see something that maybe we don't see. Let's get to know each other properly. And then, because when I watched it back, like, I didn't realize Taylor and me, like, vibe like that. So when I watched it, I was like, okay. So when he did pick Hannah, I was like, okay, that was a bit, I don't know, shocking. And everybody was saying maybe because, like, I didn't give him as much attention.
Because she kind of got a little bit, not obsessed, but she definitely
Showed more interest.
gave him a bit more, like you said. But you were probably just still fresh in there, getting to know other people.
Yeah, because what people didn't see, like, I was only in that villa for 8 days. It showed, 3 weeks on TV. I was only in there for 8 days. So I was still trying to, like, navigate my way around, get to know the girls and the guys.
Speaking of amazing things, you and Priya were in Bali at the time of the 2002 bombings and became one of the first medical responders on the scene. What do you remember most vividly about those first few hours?
Priya was coming up for her final exam, so Priya was an anaesthetic trainee and I was a plastics trainee, and so it was a holiday before she started studying. So we arrived there Saturday morning, the bomb went off Saturday night, and then we got to the hospital Sunday morning. After my parents rang, we weren't aware that there'd been a bombing. We just knew that something had happened because we saw the explosion in the distance, but we couldn't get any information that night. So we arrived early at about 8 o'clock on the Sunday morning, and it was Sangla Hospital, was one of those developing nation hospitals, single or two-story, but sprawling, long corridors. And I guess when we first got there, it was probably a lot of the patients had been moved to the ward, different wards, and it was probably it was quiet, despite because there were no other volunteers there at that stage, or not many, and there was just the local staff, and the patients were obviously just shocked of what had happened to them. And then from there we rapidly started treating these patients. And I guess the most striking thing that was just the lack of resources, right? And the number of critically injured patients. I think it was the most number of patients at that stage from a mass casualty situation, because in the previous incident was the trade, 9/11, and there weren't as many patients that got to hospital. Most died. So there were a lot of critically injured patients, and I guess it was that the lack of resources that we had to deal with to operate on these patients and to manage these patients from a critical care point of view.
I've watched the movie. I'm not sure how accurate that was, but I watched it when it first came out.
For the accuracy, it's pretty accurate to an extent.
Yeah.
When I came back from Bali, one of the Royal Perth secretaries, Lisa, said to me, you need to write this down because one day someone will ask you. So I got a dictaphone and I just verbatim put down the 24 hours, what happened, and she typed it out for me, and my parents had a copy of this. So when they contacted us to make the movie, I just said, why don't you read this? So the script for that first bit is relatively accurate. So Priya sort of looked after the really critically ill patients with resuscitation, because she was an anaesthetic training, and they typically look after critically ill patients. And I did a lot of the escharotomies in the early stages. So that's releasing the tourniquet effect of the burns. And we were sort of then went on to really coordinate the aeromedical evacuation of who's going first, etc. So yeah, it was a combination of the early management of patients needing urgent care, because we didn't have an operating theatre to take people to. So literally I had a box of blades and a box of gloves,
just
and I went
slice,
100%.
slice.
And with no analgesia, no anaesthetic. And Priya's role was really looking after the really critically ill patients, resuscitating them.
Was there airway burns? Quite a few airway burns?
There were some airway burns.
Yeah.
There were a couple of patients in an ICU that were already in the ICU, but she couldn't intubate anyone because she didn't have the equipment. There was no equipment. She had a cylinder of oxygen that she had to share between patients. That's how resource strapped they were.
Well, there's this perception that if you're on TV, you must be super secure. Did being on reality TV ever make you question your body image or self-worth?
That's a really good question, because it is very common. And I know a lot of people that have absolutely suffered at the brutality of what the public and people can say on social media and a bit of online trolling, I guess you could say. I'm a very I don't give a fuck person, as you know, Kia. And I wouldn't say body image, no. And that's not because I think I'm the bloody be all end all, but I just really kind of put things into perspective, and I'm like, why would I care what someone has to say about me if I don't even care? So I'm actually pretty good like that. I tend to handle that stuff pretty well. Sometimes I think I don't give a fuck enough, and that's my problem. It's like I probably should care a bit more, but I really don't. Like, why would I care what bloody Susan from Wollongong was saying about me when I'm getting paid to sit on the beach and drink cocktails? You know what I mean? Even if I am a bit rogue, like, I think that's what more I cringe at is the stuff that I say, not necessarily how I look. Like, sometimes I would wear an outfit and it will air, and I'm like, oh, why did I wear that? That is ugly. Or my hair and makeup wasn't very good that day because I've been up since the crack of dawn and I just whacked anything on it. I was like, I'm having a CBF day. I've been on the road for 20 days straight. And then I look back and gone, I really wish I put a little bit more effort into my hair or something like that. So it's not that deep for me, really.
I think that's what gives you sort of character, though. It's like, because you don't care, that's part of your persona, you know?
I feel like if I cared, I would sink, I know a lot of girls, I know a lot of people do. I'm not trying to discredit that because I know a lot of people do really struggle, and fair enough, because it is awful. And, it's only human not to like when you hear bad things being said about you, you read, but I don't know, I have this like weird like guilty pleasure. I like love reading the comments and just laughing. Like me and my family will sit in the lounge room and we'll read out my hate comments and we just cry of laughter because some of them are so funny. Like someone called me like a bimbo the other day. I'm like, that's not an insult, I actually am. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a bogan bimbo. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of flavours, we're actually about to do something a little bit fun. So Miranda has brought along a few Made Monday overnight oats, and I'm going to be doing a blinded taste test to see if I can pick the flavours. So let's get into it.
It's just a little teaspoon, so you don't need to open your mouth too big. You can do all of them if you want and then guess at the end.
Okay, yeah. Tell me all the flavours.
Chocolate, honey and cinnamon, and vanilla.
Oh. All right, then maybe this. I feel like I can taste a bit of cinnamon, but maybe this is the vanilla. Is this the vanilla? Wait, you have to tell me afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Otherwise, I'll work it out.
Is there some kind of noise? All right.
What is...
Yeah.
Okay. This has to be the chocolate. Okay. I mean, I hope. You're lucky because I always say if I was stranded on a deserted island and I could only pick one food to have for the rest of my life, I've always said it will be oats. So these will be
very versatile.
And these will be nutritious. Okay. This is the cinnamon. This is the honey and cinnamon. That was the vanilla, and then the chocolate was the second one.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Woo! How good. So yummy.
I can't believe you didn't drop any on yourself.
Well, that was delicious. Thank you so much for bringing them for me to eat.
What was your favourite flavour?
Like you, I'm a chocolate girl, so the chocolate was my favourite for sure.
Wow,
Felt like a little
I was not
sweet
expecting
treat.
that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, chocolate, absolutely.
Love that.
Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for everyone listening to the Blume Edit. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. This is the Blume Edit, unfiltered, unscripted, and unapologetic. Subscribe now and tune in weekly.